can see it beat, intoxicating your energy. First time in so long you felt the heat, evaporating your bindings. Move like the sunlight, darkness can't hold you here. Bold and bright, push through the atmosphere. This is your dawn, this is your break. Move like the, move like the, move like the sunlight. Darkness can't hold you here. Bold and bright, push through the atmosphere. This is your dawn, this is your break. Move like the, move like the. I know the sadness that cripples you. It comes in waves and out of the blue. But there are days you feel freedom too. Bask in the glorious lightning. Move like the sunlight. Darkness can't hold you here. Bold and bright, push through the atmosphere. This is your dawn, this is your break. Move like the, move like the, move like the sunlight. Darkness can't hold you here. Bold and bright, push through the atmosphere. This is your dawn, this is your break. Move like the, move like the. Move like the, move like the. Move like the, move like the. Radiate, radiate, radiate. Gravitate, gravitate, gravitate. Innovate, innovate, innovate. Move like the over your skin, you can see it beat, intoxicating your energy. First time in so long you felt the heat.
Good evening everyone and welcome along to TTML Division 2. We are here tonight for round 2 of Season 2 as we take in the Chinese Grand Prix from the Shanghai International Circuit. My name is James Hay, going to be taking you through the stream as your lead commentator here tonight, and joining me as always, it's not a Thursday night without him, it is Mr. Michael Edwards. Mike, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic, looking forward to what should be a very exciting race here at Shanghai.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. Before we get, of course, into the driver's standings, let us take you through a new feature out on track and let us preview that track in question at China. So we should have the hot lap beginning any second now. And we ride on board them with this hot lap. Round 2, of course, here in China. We're on board with TTG Maze. He's in Division 5, of course. 12 races to his name, 182 points and 4 podiums, 0 wins. He came so close a couple of weeks ago back in Season 1. And hopefully he'll be setting a good lap here tonight in China for us and for you guys as the viewers. Running then down towards Turn 1, in excess of about 200 miles an hour running down the straight. And then brakes, coming through the tricky turns 1 and 2. Through the right-handers as he goes through, and then down the hill, down towards turn 3, looking very nice and catching the apexes very nicely so far. Then through turn 4, and then towards the end of the first sector split, and Maze will be hoping to try and set and match his 110 flat as he set in Division 1 on his time trial time. Now through turn 6, and Maze looking very good through there as he now comes through this left and right section of 7 and 8. I've got to be honest, he's looking very clean so far on this lap, and he now comes through turn 8 out on track. And then in towards a tricky double left of turns 9 and 10. Very tricky to get the braking zone right for that corner, but Maze looking very nice through there. Now coming up towards the middle sector split, which you will see, of course, in qualifying, braking just off the 100-metre board there, and now coming through turns 11 and 12. And then through 13, this very tricky 180-degree hairpin out on track. Looking very good through there for Maze, and he now runs down this long, nearly 1 kilometre straight, which suffices really down into the busiest braking zone, possibly out on track, and that'll be the hairpin. Of course, there's 2 DRS zones out on track, 1 down the stop finish straight, 1 also down towards turn 14, which he hits now perfectly, coming through turn 14, and then through the kink at turn 15, that is counted as a corner. The former track we've had 15 on. Then through turn 16, and Maze now running up towards the line. And a very good time trial lap there from Maze, and that is what we have got to come here tonight for all of the drivers out on track. And that wasn't a bad lap, was it, Mike?
No, that was a very clean lap there, and it's a very decent lap there, did Maze. So hopefully we'll see some more clean laps around the circuit, and of course this track does come with its challenges. We'll see a few guys pushing those limits and possibly pushing them a bit too far.
Yep, 17 drivers are currently within the lobby, but you will want to know what happened last week in Bahrain. And looking at the drivers' standings, it is Mashiro who took the win last time out. 32 points to his name with that 2 points for pole position, of course. Scuderia Seb in second on 25 points, and AJ in third on 20 points. Trippy Jeff in 4th on 18. Zwadema in 5th on 15, with Gary in 6th on 14. Sway in 7th on 13 points, with Nathan in 8th on 12. Adamako and TRT James, one of them got the fastest lap of the race last time out. They're tied in 9th for 11 points. Then looking at the second half of the field, we have Volakongan on 9 points, Matt Tibos in 12th on 8, Tionas in 13th on 7, Corboy in 14th on 6, Alonso in 15th on 5, Parody in 16th on 4, and then the guys not to score any points is XL Ryan, who was very unlucky last time out in Bahrain, F1 AMG, who's not making it here tonight, J. Cole, who didn't attend because he had an activity that took him longer than expected last week, and Dan Morris, who comes in as a reserve, and he is racing tonight for the first time in a few weeks in TTML. Let's have a look at the constructor standings as well while we're at it. And Mercedes currently lead the way on 45 points. It's like the Formula 1 of old, to be honest. McLaren in second on 40 points, with Haas in third on 27. Red Bull and Williams are tied for fourth on 19 points. Racing Point in sixth on 16. AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo tied in seventh on 15 points, Renault in 9th on 14, and Ferrari with their luckless runs as of late in real life, showing what really is the case with nil points there down at the bottom. But it looks like we're about to begin. 20 seconds pretty much until the session starts. Final thoughts from you, Mike, as we go into qualifying. What can we expect from the guys out on track?
I'm expecting a absolutely fantastic race and maybe some changeable conditions. China is very well known for it.
Maybe changeable conditions indeed. We'll have to find out, of course, how all of the guys get on out on track as we now load into the lobby, and you will see my expectation and my interpretation of the qualifying graphic that will come up as well. This introduction, of course, will last around 55 seconds. So without further ado, good luck to everyone out on track. It is now time for qualifying. Well, welcome along here to the Shanghai International Circuit. We are here for TTML Division 2. It is round 2 of Season 2 as we take in, of course, the Shanghai International Circuit for the Chinese Grand Prix. A track not held in real life, of course, because of the coronavirus pandemic, and no wonder. Myself and Mike Edwards are going to be taking you through the stream here tonight as your lead and co-commentators, and we are excited to bring you the action out on track here tonight. Let's have a look at the track in question. 5.4 kilometres in length with 16 turns, 2 DRS zones, 1 down the start-finish straight and 1 down the long 1 kilometre straight down towards turn 14. Little bit of undulating coming through the first sector, coming through the second sector as well. Very technical middle sector, can get quite a few drivers wrong, I think, when we go out on track, and especially they've got to get their laps in qualifying if they want to land the blow here tonight in this session. As we come into qualifying, the first cars are about to leave us out on track, and what we'll do about halfway through qualifying is run you through the live standings as they are, and that'll be, of course, the driver's standings coming into tonight as well. But Volokongan, like last night in EML, he's the first out on track.
Yes, he is. The Haas gracing the track first, and we'll see how he's able to get on when he sets his flying lap. But what are you expecting pole position to be within a round?
Oh, I'm thinking around the high 129, the low 129s, high 128s, I'm thinking, for pole position out on track. We saw in Division 1, it was quite close within qualifying, and there was a number of drivers. I think Medium Pilot in the end took it by something like 0.4 of a second and just obliterated the field in qualifying. Drove his socks off as well in the race, finishing second to Schiaparelli. But it'll be really interesting to see how these guys got on. Looking actually at the tyre graphic to the left-hand side, Sway, I think, is one of the only drivers, if I'm not mistaken, he's out on a set of medium compound of tyres. So that's interesting in its own right, because this is quite a high tyre degrading circuit.
Yes, qualifying outside the top 10 can usually be a bit of a curse, but here I don't think it's too bad. The mediums to the hards, a very good race strategy.
Yeah, mediums to hards might be the one to go, and one-stop strategy, of course, for these 28 laps that we're going to be holding here, of course, at the Shanghai International Circuit. But let's ride on board then with Volokongan as he comes round the final corner out on track, and he comes towards the line now to start off his flying lap. Opens up the DRS and the ERS, running down the straight in excess of 200 miles an hour before he turns tightly in towards turn 1. Gary there to the right hand side, just getting out of the way, but Volokongan now through turn 1, then through turn 2, the uphill rise coming through, then down the hill up towards turn 3, just taking a little bit too much of the curb there for my liking, just trying to fight the car. Looks a little bit unstable, the setup currently, as now we ride on board with him coming through this first sector split. 23.7, exactly where you want to be on the first lap around here in China. And now Volokongan comes through turn 6, and we'll ride on board once again as he comes through turn 7 and 8. This very high degrading circuit. They're going to be affecting the tyres about 5% a lap in the race. Volokongan coming through turn 7 and 8 very nicely there. Little bit of a lock up in towards turn 9 and then through turn 10. Flat through turn 10. He can run out wide and pick up an invalidation. He hasn't done that though. Alonso there to the left hand side and to 50.5 through the middle sector. And again, another lock up coming through turn 11 and then through turn 12. You've got to really try and fight the car. There's always two lines that the drivers like to take through turn 13. Either go deep in and then wide out, or go wide out, deep in. Essentially, that's where you might be seeing the difference, and that's where you might be finding the time in the final sector. Volokongan then running down this long kilometre straight, 207 mile an hour reach coming through. There's a yellow flag in sector 1. It's a Ferrari. I think it might have been Dan Morris that is round. He's the only Ferrari here tonight, so must have been through turn 4. And Volokongan now through the final corner. Let's see him towards the line, looking for a very clean lap so far, and it's 29.7 from Volokongan, and he currently goes to the top of the standings, but I'd imagine he'd be beaten by somebody out on track.
Well, we got Adam Mako who just crossed the line with a 30.3. It looked to be just a banker lap he's trying to get, and it's T. Jonas crossing at 30.7. So maybe these guys not going flat out early on, just trying to gauge the track.
Yeah, AJ coming around the final corner. I think he'll go quicker than Volokongan here, and the first blinding lap out on track at 1:29.1, and we're already into the low 1:29s, as I alluded to. So that is something I've actually got right so far, which is something to behold out on track. Look at the Dan Morris. He looked like he hit the wall coming through turn 4. You can see on this car there, he's got left side end plate damage, and he did warn us before that he hasn't done many laps on this game for a number of weeks. AJ first though, Volokongan second. Mashiro though, 0.8 of a second off the back of AJ.
Yeah, I just think that these guys are just setting some banker laps early on, and honestly, AJ, that has got to be one of the most perfect banker laps that you can actually set around here. Just getting straight into the low 29s, a lot to work with, and it's going to take some beating, I think, here tonight.
Yeah, it might take some beating. We'll have a look at the comments section and see how you guys are getting on, of course, here for the Division 2 stream. Division 3 is also live, by the way. There's Aidan Carter and Conti taking you through that one out on track. Maze the Hot Lapper is the comment, the main comment there from Nathan, who I think is TTG Nathan out on track. He's second currently. We're on board with Gary coming around the final corner though. Runs wide, and that's an invalid lap if I've ever seen one. And Gary across the line, 29.9, would have put him 5th. Scuderia Seb is on a lap as well. Seb, well spoken in his interview last week. Really good performance to finish second to Mashiro. Scuderia Seb, not really a known name here. Doesn't look like he's on a lap. 52.1 through the middle sector.
Yeah, and we just saw Alonso pop up just ahead of his teammate there by only half a tenth, just 0.05 of a second there, separating the two racing points.
Yeah, and only 0.02 of a second separating Nathan and Volokongan as well. 29.7, 29.708, 29.724. Matt Tibos comes in there into second with a 1:29.4. On board with Powdy, I don't think is on a lap. We might be conserving up for another run, but the Irishman not on a lap as we see it.
Scuderia said ducking out into the pits, didn't want to finish that lap, and I believe we got an AlphaTauri now for the final corner.
AlphaTauri through the final corner is Powdy, and he's preparing up for that lap. Run there on track, 1:34.1. He can up the taps a little bit. He's not using any ERS on his laps. I think that he's probably just trying to get a banker in and trying to settle down out on track. Gary is invalidated as well. Trippy Jeff has not invalidated, 50.6. Coming through the middle sector, so he is on a lap. The other Haas, Volokongan currently his teammate in 4th with a 1:29.724. He's got a car ahead with Alonso giving him a bit of a rundown. So the two Germans clearly working together. They might be in the same party, they might be in different teams, but they're working together here tonight. It's like EML one night later, to be honest, down the straight. Trippy Jeff coming through now the final couple of corners, looking like a really good lap currently out on track. Runs through the final corner. He's going to be there or thereabouts. He goes third, I think, with this lap, and he does. By 1,000th of a second, he goes third.
That is incredibly close between Trippy Jeff and Nathan. 1,000 separating them. And honestly, there's such a big spread going on right now between the times. Wasn't expecting this.
Yeah, quite a lot of spread between the times. It might actually indicate possibly a possibility of rain in the race. I'm thinking everyone trying to get a dry setup on. They'll go for their best laps towards the end of the session. But of course, this is a high degradation circuit. On board with TRT James through the first sector, 23.7. What I'll do though is again run you through the championship standings coming into tonight. Let's show this graphic up to the left-hand side of the screen. And of course, Mashiro out on top on 32 points. Scuderia Seb in 25, AJ in third on 20. TLT James, I think he was the one that set the fastest lap of the race last time out in Bahrain. Tied for 9th with Alamako on 11 points. How do you think he'll get on?
I think James will do okay here. I mean, this track can be quite demanding, especially in our final corner. It's very easy to pick up an invalidation in qualifying, but also easy to pick up warnings in the race, as well as the double left-hander. I believe that's 9 and 10.
Yep, double left of 9 and 10, yeah. But he's currently looking good. I saw on his dashboard, on his steering wheel, it was a 50.5 coming through the middle sector, which was looking quite quick, but I think he might have backed this off. Actually, he's around the final corner, using up the ERS now to the line, and he goes third, ahead of Trippy Jeff. Nice lap there by James, my namesake going third, the Irishman. And let's see who else is out on track there as well. Dan Morris has just started lap. Zwadema coming through the final corner has invalidated on a lap. It was going to be a good lap as well. 30.1 it would have been from the Alfa Romeo out on track. And Sway is out now on a set of softs coming through the final corner. Sway, who has got good one-lap pace on his day, now comes across the line. He goes 7th, 29.9, but he's ahead of Mashiro, and that matters massively, I think, out on track. Adamako through the middle sector is nearly 5/10ths up already.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see these guys start to push their times even more. Adamako currently on a 30.3, and you'd think looking at the times towards the top, there's plenty of time to gain. There's Dan Morris. Dan
Morris has retired from the session. Let's run above the Zwadema. He's off to the left-hand side. Oh, he's gone careering off, coming through the left-right of 7 and 8. And honestly, I think he's just driven a lot of oversteer coming through the corner, and he's gone flat into the wall. And so unfortunately for Dan Morris, his qualifying session now ends him up in pretty much last position if everyone was to get a lap in. But more than halfway through though, AJ on top, Matt Tibble second, James in third. If you squinted hard enough at that, you would have seen a very red Ferrari in the wall to the left-hand side. We went through quite quick with Zwadema on board, but honestly, there was a Ferrari there.
Well, Adamako did manage to improve by half a second on a 29.8, and I believe Volokongan just improved as well slightly.
Volokongan, yeah, 1300ths of a second he improved. 1.7 seconds off is now right on board with him. Nathan, however, is on a good lap here, and now he's coming through the final couple of corners out on track. I think my mic might be going a little bit, so I'll plug myself back in after this. Nathan coming through the final corner, invalidates. Such a shame. Coming through the final corner would have been 2.5 up and would have put him into second. So Nathan would have went second with that lap. TRC James into the pit lane. Tionis has improved up into 7th, 29.8. Good lap from him. Alonso is invalid on a 10th lap, and Scuderia Seb, I think, will be next across the line if I'm not mistaken. He's got AJ just ahead of him.
Yeah, I think AJ is also on a lap as well.
Oh yeah, he's up. He's up by 100th in the middle sector.
It looks like he just had a little bit of a slide there through the turn 12-13 complex.
And Adamako's giving him a bit of a run down the straight here as well. So AJ now pulls to the left-hand side, Adamako to the right-hand side, giving him a bit of a run. And I think AJ will probably repay the favour here, trying to get as much slipstream as possible down the straight. There wasn't too much there on offer, but AJ now through the final corner. Is he going to improve? No! He runs out wide, coming through the final corner. He would have improved by 300ths of a second, but he didn't improve enough. Scuderia Seb pops in into second, 29.3. Let's have a look at Matt Tibos as well. He's 800ths up, coming through the middle sector. He's got a carve ahead out on track, which is TTG Nathan, who pulls off to the right-hand side. Doesn't want any slipstream to be given to Matt Tibos out on track. And Nathan, I think, playing it wise there. He's 2.5 off the back of Matt Tibos. But now Matt Tibos coming down the straight with 5.5 minutes to go. AJ on top, Scuderia Seb second, Matt Tibos in third. But if Matt can find the time in this final sector, he's going to be there or thereabouts in terms of AJ's time. And as soon as I say that, he goes for a spin. He catches too much of the curb. He runs onto the grass, and it's an invalid lap. And there's my commentator's curse for the night.
I mean, I was mentioning about that final corner earlier. It was easy to pick up an invalidation. It's also easy to lose it by taking too much of the curb.
Yeah, such a shame for Matt Tibos. He was on a good lap as well. He just got greedy, I think, coming through turn 16 out on track, the final corner. We're right on board with Callboy as well. He's just run out wide, and a 50.9 through the middle sector. J. Cole is invalid as well, coming through turn 10. Powdy, I think, did not improve. He's still going, actually, for these lap times that are there or thereabouts. 24.9 through the first sector, but he's been very conservative on his ERS, which is quite strange because I think Powdy has got a lot more pace in him, and we normally see him cook good towards the end of the qualifying session.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've gone on board with Powdy a few times, and he's keeping his ERS in none. He did manage to improve by just over a tenth in that last lap, but right now he's 3 seconds off the car ahead because he's not using his ERS.
Yeah, just having a look at the comment section as well. Mays apparently said it was a 109.999 his lap tonight. It'll be a 998 tomorrow night, I think, in Division 5 when we run through, or Division 4 when Graham Chappell runs you through that lap, of course. Division 3 also currently out on track. Isotopic currently in qualifying leads. Harry second, B Morgan in third. That stream is also live if you do want to delve in to your Division 3 action for tonight. But if you want to stay with myself and Mike Edwards in the commentary box here in Division 2, you can do that also. Or why don't have the best of both worlds? Why don't get both streams up at the same time?
Yep, 100%. And right now, it's looking like it's a battle between two constructors right now, with the Mercedes locking out the front row and McLaren's locking out the second row.
Yeah, well, we've got a little bit of a pause in qualifying as well. We'll go back and turn off all the UI and we'll have a look on board with the constructor standings as well. Just to echo that point further, because Mercedes are in top on 45 points, McLaren in second on 40 points, and both teams are filling out the first 4 positions out on track, which comes to show the length and breadth these guys want to go to get right up there. And I think Mercedes and McLaren are going to be the big talking point, possibly tonight as well, in this constructors battle.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to see who is going to come out on top, because this is going to be a fantastic battle. I think it's going to last throughout the entire season. McLaren versus Mercedes. They used to be joined together in a partnership way back when, but it's gonna be tasty for the season, I think, as we got James coming around. He's going to be the first person to set his final lap. Comes to the final corner, DRS wide open, and now he begins.
Now he begins on the long run up towards turn 1, 202 mile an hour reach. That's Seb coming out the pit lane, just diving to the left hand side. James taking a very wide out line coming through turn 2. Normally see the drivers take that in qualifying. Now through turn 3, then through turn 4. Very difficult, I may echo, by the way, to improve on a lap around here in China. We saw it in Division 1, and James has just proven that fact. He's 500 down already on this lap, and to be honest, if he's not quick enough through the middle sector, he's going to just lose time further and further, because it's one of those tracks that is really not for passing, and it's really not to take the driver by the scruff of the neck. But Nathan just pulls off to the left hand side. James now coming through the middle sector, now through turns 9 and 10, halfway through the lap dead on. Now come through turn 10. Looking very nice out there. Let's see if James is improving through the middle sector. 300ths, but he's improved. Purple middle sector, which will be indicative of his personal best. Doing a good job out on track. I think we've got Trippy Jeff as well coming through turn 10, who is on a lap. We've got Gary and Zwadema also on laps as well. But James running now down this long 1 kilometre straight here at the Shanghai International Circuit. And running down towards 10:14, there is a car just in front of him out on track. It's a McLaren, which will lead me to believe it's either Matt Tibos or Mashiro, because they're the only 2 McLarens, of course, out on the grid. There's not another car for them. James now coming through the final couple of corners. And the AlphaTauri, very difficult to try and improve on a lap. Let's see if he's going to try and improve on a lap. And in the end, he does. He goes 4th and improves ahead of Mashiro. Matt Tibos, by the way, has just started up on a lap as well. Riding on board, we've got Gary on a set of mediums, which is quite interesting.
Yep, Trippy Jeff to the line now, and he's improved by 2 tenths and jumps up in the 3rd.
Yeah, really good lap there. Mashiro coming around the final corner as well. He's preparing up for lap. I think we've got Adam Mako, Alonso actually, through the final corner. And now towards the line goes the German. He goes 2nd. 29.2, but not good enough to beat AJ here in qualifying. That is his lap over and done with. Gary around the final corner across the line. He goes 13th on a set of mediums. So that's not really indicative. Zwadema is on a lap. He runs wide. And I think that's J. Cole on a lap as well on a set of mediums. And now J. Cole through the final corner looking to beat Gary. Runs very very out wide there, but comes across the line. He goes behind him. Zwadema not on a lap. He goes 13th in the end, 130 flat. Not really a great time from him. They've got a Red Bull of Sway crossing the line. He goes 10th. And now a Haas out on track, which would immediately be to believe, if I can get my words out, is Volakongan. And Volakongan now towards the final couple of corners out on track. We are over and done with Sway, Zwadema, Jekyll, Damos and Cowboy cannot improve. Volakongan now to the line. He goes 3rd. 29.3, very nice lap. We've got Seb up. Adamako stays 9th, I think, 29.6. AJ to the line, he's 2/10 up. Cole's improved, 28.7. What a lap from AJ. That is going to defeat everyone else on track. Matt Tibbles with a 29.1. Seb is also up by 400ths of a second. I don't think we're seeing many improvements. James as well is trying to improve up as well. Nathan goes 4th, 29.2, and he's just 1,000th off Alonso. James now towards the line. He's into the pit lane, and Mashiro is the only one that can do this. Mashiro now to the line. Can he defeat AJ? He might go 2nd. He does go 2nd, 29.1. But AJ has come in with an absolute blistering lap at 28.7 and has absolutely defied the objective here in qualifying. He's destroyed them.
That is an absolutely fantastic lap from AJ. I have no words. He has absolutely obliterated qualifying here.
Look at that. I mean, it's 3 1/4 tenths of a second. No, 3 3/4 of a tenth of a second. 0.375 of a second he is clear of. Just under that, I think. And AJ, with 28.7, actually shows up in the right-hand corner as a 28.8 flat. So 28.799 will give it as, but Mashiro's second, Matt Tibbles third. Seb didn't really improve on his time either, but we're just waiting on Alonso and Trippy Jeff to pit lane. But my God, AJ is now the medium pilot of Division 2, I think, out on track. That was an utterly brilliant lap.
Absolutely fantastic, and he just looked on it throughout the entire quality session. I think his time from previous, he might have still given him pole position. Just have a little look. Yeah, he would have.
It would have, because I think he was 200th of a second ahead of Mashiro, if I'm not mistaken, and 129.141, if I'm not mistaken.
It was 115.
Oh, 115, even better than what I'm predicting there. Goodness me. But we ride on board then as we come into the end of qualifying, and AJ on top. Look at that for a gap. 3.5 tenths of a second just over. Mashiro in second. Matt Tibbles in third. McLaren running out second and third but had no response. Alonso in fourth, 1,000th ahead of Nathan. Scuderia Seb in sixth. He's 4,000th ahead of Volakongan. Trippy Jeff in eighth with James in ninth. Adamako in 10th with Sway in 11th. Tionas in 12th. Zwadema in 13th. Gary 14th. J. Cole 15th. Powdy 16th, which is quite interesting. It looked like he just buffered up coming through qualifying and didn't set the lap time we were expecting. Dan Morris and Cowboy both either retiring in the pit lane or crashing out. They're 17th and 18th right down at the back of the field. But as we now go into the race, 28 laps await these drivers out on track, and we'll run on board then with the track map in question as well. 5.4 kilometres in length, 152.6 kilometres in race distance, and those two DRS zones. And looking at it, it's dry, which is good.
It looks dry for now, but you never know with China. It could change very quickly.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating, I think. We've got dynamic weather on, of course, so we can literally go from literally 100% flat-out racing to absolutely nothing, and it's drenched. The track will be completely drenched out on track. But we'll have a look in particular at Mashiro when we go into this formation lap. Of course, his best result was P1, achieved that in Bahrain, but before that he was the two-time TTL F1 League 2 champion. So Mashiro's got a real big thing to fill in, real big shoes to fill in terms of M. Short, who of course won the title last season. He's been doing bits in Division 1 as well. And we now come live into the Division 2 action, and the formation lap is now about to begin. And we'll have a look right on board with this man, Mashiro, in second position. I'll get all the telemetry and the detail and everything else up. And Mashiro, of course, P1 best result, last achieved in Bahrain Season 2 Round 1. The defending Division 3 champion from last season. He has got to try and find a real good pace setup here to try and defeat AJ, because we've been on about AJ before. AJ is not really great over full race distance. Mashiro, has he got the answers to AJ from qualifying?
Only time will tell, but as you said, we've seen it before. We saw it last season. AJ, I don't know what it is, at the start he just seems to get swamped.
Yeah, he does seem to get swamped, and I think it's because of that one lap pace that he shows in qualifying. He hasn't, I think I said it in Bahrain last week, where he has a really good qualifying session. I mean, he's defeated Mashiro, give him the credit, by 3 3/4 of a tenth, pretty much out on track. And there's the predicted pit stop strategy coming up as well from Mashiro, lap 6 to 7 on a set of softs, to a set of hards as well. Could be a one-stop strategy showing on track here tonight. But AJ coming through the formation lap. And what I was saying there was AJ has got the natural pace. He's got that one lap pace. Can he turn that though? His biggest obstacle, I think, is his nerves. Because I think he gets nervous before the race. And that might just affect his mentality. Meaning he doesn't do well and he doesn't get the start in the race as what he would want.
Yeah, I think you might be right there. But looking at these guys outside the top 10... as well, I mean, you got some very quick guys outside the top 10. It's not been a good qualifying session for the XL. That's 13th, 14th, or 15th. But I don't know. Personally, for me, China has always been a medium to hard track. If you're on the mediums, we got, I believe that's Udema in the wall on the formation lap.
What on earth happened there?
I have absolutely no idea.
I was just casually riding on board with AJ, and you say, oh, Zuidema's spun underneath the formation lap. Unbelievable. So that now puts him obviously still in P13, but that's not going to do his tyres any world of good. The final cars are now coming onto the grid, and we are about to get going here in China, but I've got to push you, Mike, for a top 3.
Okay, I'm going to go for Scuderia Seb for the victory. Mashiro second.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go with Jonas third. I think that medium hard strategy might work for him.
Very interesting, and we shall see how these guys are going to get on out on track as the 5 red lights come on here in Division 2 for Season 2. It's round 2. And it's lights out and away we go. Great start by AJ. Mashiro's been left looking off the start. There's already a little bit of a collision further down the field. Even off the start, all sorts of shenanigans. I think that was TTGaming who had a bit of wheel spin coming off the start line. And Tionis went straight into the back of him, if I'm not mistaken. I think he picked up damage, but AJ leads. Mashiro second. He's got Matt Tibos, though, diving down the inside of him. Now through turn 4. Very tricky to go side by side. They're all through in the background nicely and safely. Nathan is already up into 4th position. Heckle Matt Tibos down the inside of Mashiro, trying to get the move done, already not hanging about, and he's through, and he's up into 2nd. Mashiro now defends off Nathan. Nathan trying to go around the outside line, he drops into the slipstream. Alonso ran the outside of Trippy Jeff as well. They now filter through into positions, and Zwadema and James now going side by side through the S section. Really good start though. We've got Corbo and Sway going side by side further down the field as well for 15th, and Tionis with that damage is now on the right side end plate, I think that is. He is now down into 15th position. Hectic real start, but AJ pulled away by 1.1 seconds, and he's already defeating the objective, me predicting him not for the race win.
Yeah, AJ getting away fantastically there. I don't know what happened at the start between T. Jonas and James. It looked like they just got a little bit tangled. T. Jonas into the wall, I believe it was, for wing damage. Either that or Audi, an Alfa Romeo, Alfa Tauri going in there.
Oh, Gary and TRT James having a good battle. The 2 Irishmen out on track, one on the softs, one on the mediums. And there's a soft runner, actually, TRT James, who hangs on to that position. Alonso well over the back. We see a graphics glitch commence. Jonas is into the pit lane there in the background. I think we've also got Powdy into the pit lane in the background there as well. We're coming through onto lap 2 out of 28. It's AJ who leads by 1.2 seconds over Matt Tibos in 2nd. Mashiro well under pressure now from Trippy Jeff and Nathan in behind. Nathan there in 4th. Trippy Jeff currently in 5th. we shall see the graphics fix themselves eventually out on track. To be honest, is the one that is going to be coming through. We should see a relevance of the order come through. And there, AJ first, Matibor second, Mashiro third. That's how it stands. Powdy and Tionas, of course, into the pit lane. Nobody really close enough, though. But Nathan pressurising Mashiro into a mistake.
Yeah, Nathan all over the back of Mashiro there. And you got Trippy Jeff also putting that pressure on Nathan. I don't know if Nathan and Trippy Jeff can get a good launch out of turn 13, they could be on.
Yeah, Trippy Jeff well over the back of Mashiro. Mashiro does not look confident on that car. He runs wide once again, and Nathan could have the run. DRS, of course, would be enabled next lap around, as we see him now running down the straight. Trippy Jeff has now dropped off the back, and I think Nathan will just sit tight and wait until next lap around out on track. I don't think anybody is close enough. So Redema actually going side by side with Adamako and is through. So Redema is now through and he's up into ninth. Adamako very early on the brakes, nearly forces James into the back of him, and that's Gary down the inside, and Gary nearly making contact and nearly having a half spin out on track as well. But look at TRT James, he's down the inside of Adamako. Adamako in fact dives into the pit lane very early indeed. Has he picked up any damage, I wonder? TRT James though has lost 2 positions to J. Cole and to Gary. And to Sway as well, who goes right around the outside coming through turn 1.
Oh, that's fantastic. He is fighting him back though, James, still on the inside.
He's there on the inside, Sway there by Merritt, I think. Seb is through on Alonso as well. Alonso dropping down the field, but Sway and James still side by side through the first sector. 25.2 through the first sector for Sway. He runs round the outside now of TRT James. He's still there. How on earth these guys are still going side by side? Now they filter back into position and James is into 12th. Alonso, I think, might have made a slight mistake because not only did Seb go past him, but Volokongan went past him as well.
Yes, I'm not sure what happened there with Alonso as we were watching the excellent battle between James and Sway there. But yeah, Alonso dropping 2 positions relatively quickly.
Yeah, unfortunate not the day for Racing Point currently out on track. Adamako, of course, forced into the pit stop, I think, for front wing damage. But now Nathan closing up. Does he need this overtake mode? Hardly. He is through down the inside line. But look at Trippy Jeff. Trippy Jeff's going to get the run. Is he going to get both of them down the inside? No, he backed off very much at the last moment. And Nathan is through and he's into 3rd. Mashiro is hanging on for Grim Life. Trippy Jeff had the inside line, as you said. But because of the nature of the corner, Mashiro ran the outside line. Look at that for a camera shot. We're right at the back end of Mashiro, quite literally out on track. So if you're into your PG-18, we're nearly there. Trippy Jeff all over the back of Mashiro down the inside line. Can he get the move done? The German down the inside line of the Japanese man. And it looks like he's got job done, but Mashiro's back down the inside, fighting through. Matt Tibos is all over the back of AJ as well for the lead of the race. But here comes Trippy Jeff once again. Is he going to have another go at the back of Mashiro? Tries to look to the inside line, forced to the outside line. Mashiro runs a little bit too deep, but I think he's got the corner. Yeah, Mashiro has got the corner, he's got the run, and he stays in P4. Good battle that, though.
Yeah, fantastic battle. And as you were saying, Matt has been closed in on the back of AJ. With that DRS now done this back straight, we could see the lead change hands.
Yeah, we could indeed. 0.5 of a second as we now come through this middle sector split. Matt Tibos 0.8 off coming through this middle sector. Trippy Jeff, by the way, still all over the back of Mashiro. Mashiro actually gets a little bit of a sideways movement there coming out of turn number 11. And that now forces Trippy Jeff into play. Nathan is in a little bit of no man's land, to be honest, in 3rd there. Mashiro has got slipstream and he has got DRS as well, but now Trippy Jeff is going to have to try and find something out of the locker. He now finds it in the second half down the straight. Can he get the move done down the inside? Mashiro forced very much out wide. Trippy Jeff down the inside line. They lean on each other. They bang wheels. They're still side by side. And Mashiro now to the inside line. One of them's got to give. But Trippy Jeff around the outside gets the move done. Nathan into the pit lane though. So Trippy Jeff is through. Seb is got a through as well. As now Trippy Jeff completely comes across track to try and defend off Mashiro and Seb. And Seb is all over the back of this. This is like last week in Bahrain between Mashiro and Seb. But Trippy Jeff is still there. Trippy Jeff round the outside line. Can he hang on to the position? Yes, he can. Brilliant racing there by the German. And he's through and he's up into P3.
Yeah, fantastic battle between Trippy Jeff, Mashiro and Seb getting involved there at the end. And that's the thing with these two battling. Not only have they lost a bit of touch to the guys out in front, as they were losing a little bit to Nathan as well before he made his pit stop. But they were also allowing Scuderia Seb, Volaconga and Alonso and Redeemer on those mediums to close up.
Oh, you're beginning to lag slightly on my end there. So I'm not sure if that's your internet connection possibly going, but Matibos all over the back of AJ. And this is important because look at the change in the conditions. Have we got the prediction of rain completely and utterly right here in China as we run now down the straight and come now down in towards... Look at how dark it's got, honestly. Within space of 30 seconds that must have been, we were blue sky, sunshine, and now we're on the verge of possibility of rain out on track. Seb right on the back as well, looking to a demo down the inside as well of Alonso, trying to get the move done, but he's not through. Matibos is now in the lead of the race because AJ blinks and he comes into the pit lane. So does Mashiro, and so does Volaconga. Now I fear Mashiro is going to get held up in the pit lane here.
As Redeemer now looking to go side by side with Alonso into turn 1, around the outside. Was he Alpha Romeo?
Still side by side. Mediums against the softs. Mediums! Oh, Zuidema has pulled that off to absolute perfection. Brilliant move. These softs do not last long, and Zuidema now is through and he's up into P4. That was utterly brilliant.
Yeah, and now for Alonso, he's got more medium runners now closing in behind him. And as you were saying, with the sky, it is getting very overcast, and I've got to wonder, were the mediums the absolute perfect call? Was it more ideal to qualify outside the top 10? Did the XL lads make the perfect call?
Yeah, well, I think at this point, to be honest, we're seeing a bit of the delta time. We talk about the delta time in Formula 1, and we see the switchover period, and the switchover period essentially means the mediums become quicker than the soft compound tyres. And we take Gary, for example, he's all over the back of Alonso, whose tyres look absolutely shot on the rear. So Vedema is closing up as well on Scuderia Seb. I think he's got DRS running down the straight. We'll come on board with him now as he runs down the straight. Catching. Look at Gary as well and behind on Alonso. Can he get the move done? Could see 2 for 1 here, but no, we're not going to see any moves, I think. Gary down the inside of Alonso disposes of him and brings J. Cole through as well, but he's got to be careful because now J. Cole's on the outside line trying to come through. Matt Tibbles, by the way, into the pit lane from the lead of the race, and Alonso has been bullied out of 2 positions there by Gary, and J. Cole. Gary through, he's up into P4. But here comes Jekyll now down the inside line, and these two are going to be fairly racing each other, and Jekyll saves his way through down the inside line towards turn 1, and he's through, and he's up into 3rd, and he's got his teammate just ahead of him.
Yeah, it is all coming up sunshine and roses, figuratively speaking, for the Alfa Romeo lads here, as Redeemer on the back of Trippy Jeff.
And Nathan has got ahead of Matt Tibos, and Matt Tibos goes into the back of him. Coming out of the pit lane, coming through turn 2. Just a slight bit of overspeed, I think, for Matt Tibos. Nathan not realising, to be honest, that Matt Tibos was going so quick into the corner. Slight misjudgment, slight rear-ending there for Matt Tibos on Nathan. But Nathan now, crucially, with that undercut, is ahead of Matt Tibos in these pit stops. And they've disposed of Bashiro by 2 seconds as well.
Yep, did Mashiro double sack with Matt Tibos?
No, Matt Tibos came in last lap around. Matt Tibos came in front. Mashiro came in, I think, a lap earlier, or 2 laps earlier at least. So Demon, by the way, is all over the back of Trippy Jeff, running down the straight. It is Dutchman against German, and the German, of course, in front. Demon now trying to get that last bit of ember out of that EOS. Now down the inside line, he dives it down the inside. Can he get the move done? Cuts across the curb to try and get the move done, but I think he has got the move done in the end. Trippy Jeff is still there, though, with the traction, and now to the inside line. Oh, races himself into the pit lane, and Trippy Jeff into the pit lane is now in from what was the lead of the race. He got that move back done, and Spadema now is through. J. Cole in second, Alfa Romeo 1-2, currently out on track, and these guys you would expect are going towards the halfway stage where they will pick for a set of hard compound of tyres, I think.
Yeah, but now it's very smart from Zudema there, realising that Trippy Jeff was going to box that lap, because that could have been very nasty if he turned into the corner.
Matt Tibbles, by the way, has got through on Nathan. And I didn't even spot that. So Nathan has now dropped a position off Matt Tibbles, and Matt Tibbles is now through. He must have got it done down the straight. I can only think it was that place. And Matt Tibbles is through, and he's up into 8th position. and he's 2.4 off the back of AJ. And I think AJ, with that advantage early on, him pitting and undercutting Matt Tibos slightly, he's got a really good gap to try and control this race now.
100% as we got Sway closing up his teammate Cowboy for 4th place, the hards versus the mediums. And here's an XL 1, 2, 3 right now.
Yeah, how they brought love to be seeing this in EML, to be honest. I don't think they did that well last night, actually, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to watch that back later on. But here comes Jekyll now on the back of Spadeva. I don't think these guys would indicate and go for a move, the 2 Alpha Romeo. Somebody that is going for a move, that was Matt Tibos, and Matt Tibos is round. Matt Tibos is round, coming through turn 12 and 13. Must have lost it on the curb. Did you see what happened there?
No, I just saw Nathan pass Matt Tibos. Now scrolling up to see what happened, and everyone was passing Matt Tibos.
Yeah, Matt Tibos again. He's like Mays, to be honest, in Division 5. Mays hasn't had the rub of the green in recent weeks. He's not the greatest driver in terms of luck. And Matt Tibos again, a little bit of bad luck hits him. But luckily for him, he's on fresh tyres. He can go possibly to the end of the race as well. But he hasn't got any damage, which is crucial. And I think... Did I just see rain there? No.
I think that's wishful thinking this early on.
Wishful thinking, you never know. It did turn cloudy though about 10 minutes ago out on track, so expect possibly the rain, if there was due to be rain, to come and fall very shortly indeed. There is not really much happening on out on track, so let's have a look at the position gains, and look at that for position gains. 7th down to 18th have all lost positions. The top 6 haven't. So Adema, Jekyll, Gary, Cowboy, Sway and Dan Morris, the ones who are still yet to come into the pit lane, have gained all pretty much positions out on track. Cowboy's gained 14, Jekyll's gained 13. But don't take that figuratively. We've still got a long way to go here in China.
Yep, and fortunately for G. Jonas, his race is no longer going to be a boring one. He does have Adam Mako directly ahead of him. So he's going to be able to get some action as he comes around turn 13, looking to get a good launch with DRS.
Oh, Trippy Jeff as well, closing in on Scuderia Seb. These guys right on the back of Vola Kongan, so this could be a 3-way battle for 10th that is beginning to develop out on track. I don't think Jonas is close enough to the back of Adamako running down the straight. He's on a set of mediums, on a worn set of mediums, as TRT James, I think, picks up the first 3-second penalty of tonight. Trippy Jeff again trying to close up on the back of Seb, but Seb still in 11th and Trippy Jeff still in 12th. Vola Kongan though in 10th position, hoping to try and close in. Mashiro, by the way, he was running in that net second position, and actually AJ's right on the back of Dan Morrissey. He's going to be held up big time by the Ferrari man out on track, the only one on track for the Tifosi team, and AJ is going to try and think about going around the outside. He now could switch to the inside line coming through turn 7, but no, he just lets Dan Morris get on with the job. But I think AJ will be wanting to try and get past sooner rather than later, because he looks like he's been affected by that dirty air in front of him.
Yeah, but Dan Morris gets a bit of a slide on, and that's compromised him heavily. It's because safety car!
Safety car right on track. Alonso is the one that has gone off, and that is through the S section coming through turn 7 and 8. You have real good eyesight. There he is, all the way to the right-hand side of the track, on board with Powdy, into the wall hard. It's essentially the same point at where Dan Morris had went off, as Nathan's picked up a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car, which is so unfortunate, and he can't serve it up, of course, under the pit stops. He can't serve it up, in fact, under the safety car. He will have to serve that up once we get back into racing. So unfortunately for Nathan, he is now down in a bit of no man's land nonetheless. Mashiro, he just had got the move done, I think, on him. But the top 6 are counting their lucky stars. Certainly the guys on the mediums, I think they're counting their lucky stars. Because they can definitely go to the end of the race now. So we damn it, Jekyll Gary handed a freebie here in China.
Yeah, but unfortunately for Jekyll, having the double stack behind his teammate, it's going to drop him pretty far down the order, I think.
So Idema, just to come on, is back out in 4th position. And on 4 5-lap fresher tyres than the guys ahead of him. So that is big in its own right. Idema is going to be one of the quickest guys longer term within the race. J. Cole, by the way, came out in 11th. Everyone else coming into the pit stops. They're drawn onto the back of the safety car now, and hopefully we'll get a very good safety car restart out on track. But that brings us nicely on, though, to what has happened so far in the race. AJ so far has been controlling the race as if we've not really seen, to be honest, so far this season. He obviously qualified well in Bahrain, and I spoke about him earlier on, saying that he's got the 1 lap pace in qualifying and he doesn't like to transfer that to the race. So far, he's proven the commentator wrong, and this is probably why I should resign as a commentator, to be honest, when I say things like that. He's just out-defying himself out on track.
I mean, AJ doing a fantastic job, but this is where we're going to see if his nerves start to get to him, because he got a fantastic launch at the start, got the gap, controlled his own race, and now with this safety car bringing everyone back into play, Nathan, unfortunately, with that drive-through penalty, it's going to be a long day for Nathan. He's going to be hoping for another safety car to bring him back into it. But the clouds are getting darker.
Yeah, clouds are getting darker. Might mean that rain is not too far away, so we could see a crossover point between, obviously, the dry compound of tyres and the wet compound of tyres if there was to be rain out on track. I wonder if the rain actually comes under the safety car. Imagine that, out on track. But Nathan with that 5-second stop go, sadly not happening. Division 3, by the way, I think they've had a little bit of a lobby glitch. They're just starting up their race again now, so you can tune in for that. Hards can go all the way, apparently, according to Langfell on that stream, to from lap 3 out on track. So anybody on that strategy, which is absolutely nobody considering everyone's been into the pit lane, they will go to the end of the race presumably in that, as Sway interestingly comes into the pit lane and he puts on a set of mediums, and 16 laps on a set of mediums, theoretically just saying what I've just said, they can get to the end as well.
This is going to be very interesting. Sway checking on a set of the mediums. Of course, we saw Cowboy and Dan Morris duck out from the hard tyres onto the mediums. Is this going to indicate that we're going to get rain towards the end of this race, that these guys are chucking on the mediums?
It could do. It could be one of two ways, to be honest. It could also mean that the track is going to dry out and they want to have, or the track is going to evolve quicker, I should say, and they're going to have the mediums really going toward the end of the race, and it should be quite interesting to see how these guys get on, because the top 8 are on a set of hard compound tyres. TRT James is the only one there out on track. He's on a set of medium compound of tyres, but interestingly, he is on a worn set of mediums. Everyone else being under that is Cowboy, Dan Morris, Adamako and Sway, who's just recently been into the pit lane. They're all on a set of medium compound of tyres. They should get to the end. Safety car now going to be coming in this lap, and AJ will try and control the back to his best of his ability, and I think he's not going to try and make it look like Bahrain, because I think he led under the safety car if we had one in Bahrain, and he really held everyone up through the final couple of corners. I'm not sure if it was in Division 1 or Division 2. I might be getting my divisions mixed up, but AJ really going well out on track, and he holds up Nathan. Nathan with that drive-through penalty will not be wanting another penalty from him, and AJ in fact has picked up a 5-second penalty. As soon as I say that, he now launches it and picks up the pace. So AJ now needs to pick up the pace to go quicker, but hopefully we're going to be seeing a very good restart here out on track. And AJ now, disaster, that could have just given Mashiro or Zwedema or the likes of Scuderia Seb a possible chance at the victory here tonight in China. The safety car is into the pit lane, and AJ will wait and wait and wait, and he will go about halfway up the run towards the final corner, I think. Now he launches it, goes, and AJ now launches it through the final corner, and we're back underway here in China. Trippy Jeff, by the way, has already lost a position, hung out to dry there by Seb, who tried to overtake him, but AJ's through, and he's into the lead of the race. Nathan second, Mashiro third, Redema fourth, Bolakongan fifth, Trippy Jeff down to seventh as a result of an out-wide excursion coming through the final corner. He's down the inside, actually, of Scuderia Seb coming through turn 2. Can he possibly get the move done? He can't. Gary is on the inside line as well. Can the Irishman get the job done on Trippy Jeff? Very close quarter racing here in China with James and Cowboy right on the back as well. James, the big loser, I think, out of the start. But Trippy Jeff tries to go around the outside of Seb, and Trippy Jeff still all over the back but not good enough. AJ in the end, with a 5-second penalty, won't take that because he's absolutely flown away from Nathan. 6/10 of a second. Nathan in second and Gary on Trippy Jeff. Whoa, Trippy Jeff, I think. Did he get caught in the grass, did you say there?
He got caught on the curb at turn 7 on the inside curve and he just lost the back end.
And he's lost 2 positions as a result, which is such a shame. Trippy Jeff, oh, very close into the back of TRT James. There's a little bit of contact and now puts James out of DRS zone. Quite interestingly, just before the DRS detection point out on track as well. But there won't be any DRS out on track for the next couple of laps. They have to do it the old-fashioned Formula 1 way, with slipstream and a little bit of overtake mode out on track. Trippy Jeff trying to close in on the back now of TRT James. I don't think he's going to be close enough, and no, everyone still filters on in position. Tionis as well on the back of Matt Tibos, slides it down the inside, tries to go for the move, and Powdy sends it all the way around the outside on Sway, and retakes our position, I think.
Powdy back up into 16th place, and just speaking on that 5-second time penalty with AJ, I was on board with Nathan at that point, and it didn't look like they made contact, so I think it must have been some desync or anything going on. We've got J. Cole and Adam Macko side by side.
J. Cole, Adam Macko side by side. J. Cole down the inside line, I think, gets that move done. Adam Macko now on fresher mediums, though, to the outside line. Running through now, turns 6. Oh, running through turn 5 and then through turn 6, and Adam Macko tries to go all the way around the outside. He's going to be hung out to dry slightly by J. Cole, but now Adam Macko down the inside line. Can he get the move done? He surely got the car down the inside, and J. Cole gives him the room, gives him a position, and Adam Macko was through and he's up into 11th position. We've still further down the field as well. Before those guys were battling, Sway was all over the back of Powdy, but has just dropped the time, and I think actually Powdy has had a little bit of a spin out on track, and Sway might have had a little bit of contact with him, and it looks like there's a little bit of end plate damage actually missing off that Red Bull. There is, left side.
Oh, that is not good for Sway.
Yeah,
Took
Sway.
a gamble by coming in on those mediums.
He took a gamble, but to be honest, Powdy ahead on a set of hard compound of tyres was going to be very difficult to fight anyways, I think. Callboy right on the back of Trippy Jeff on a set of medium. Trippy Jeff comes across trying to defend the line. Callboy trying to defend for his life and attack him round the outside line. The Irishman goes. We've got Dan Morris and J. Cole going side by side as well. Mashiro is through because Nathan comes into the pit lane. Callboy now still all over the back of Trippy Jeff. We open up that DRS range next lap around, and look at the run that Callboy has got down the inside line. Trippy Jeff's not going to be coming across the track for this one. Oh, and actually Callboy puts him off. Callboy and Trippy Jeff make contact. Trippy Jeff into the wall. And that is so unfortunate. Callboy, not really sure what he was thinking. Trippy Jeff retires and there's a VSE out on track. And Callboy down the inside line. He had the run, but I think he just came across too much to the left-hand side of Trippy Jeff. Put Trippy Jeff onto the grass. And that's why we've got the VSE.
Yeah, it looks like they just locked wheels there going into turn 1. And that's just launched Trippy Jeff all the way off into the runoff of turn 1, into the wall, and yeah, it's unfortunate for Trippy Jeff. He was looking so good in this race.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, it's going to be quite interesting. In fact, the VSC, as I turn away, I was going to say something else, but the VSC is back on the way, and we are we're back on the way from the VSC, I should say, and AJ's got a tremendous start. 1.5 seconds now off on Mashiro, and AJ has really burst away from the fields. With Demon now is going to be on the back of Mashiro, but Okongan there in 4th position. So unfortunately that contact was made. Nathan, by the way, that's why Mashiro, I think, has got a bigger gap to catch than AJ, because Nathan, of course, came into the pit lane. Further down the field, Tionis and Matt Tibos and J. Cole right on the back of Dan Morris, but Dan Morris hangs on for P10 for now, and he's driving quite well on a set of mediums. He just needs to try and pick up the pace slightly to try and latch onto the back of Adamako and Callboy and the likes just ahead of him out on track. But we are now on to lap 16 out of 28. I can't believe how fast this race has gone. And everyone, by the way, that pitted on a set of medium compound of tyres, I think knew that the conditions were going to improve out on track, because the sun is now breaking through once again.
Yeah, I was just about to say that the weather is very much like real life F1. It's teasing us with the rain. Not actually going to come.
Yeah, and that's what you get when you travel thousands of miles to China. Mashiro having a bit of a squirrely moment coming out through, and now Mashiro down the inside line, on the outside line, sorry, Zwidema on the inside line, and Zwidema tries to get it all the way around the outside. Mashiro's still there, cut short, quite literally, by Zwidema, and Zwidema through, and he's up into second. How about that for coming across a Mashiro spun? A Mashiro spun, and he's currently be out the race, I think, out of a result. No, he is not. But front wing into the wall, and that is the strangest. Oh, and there's a safety car. A safety car has been deployed out on track because of Mashiro's spin. That front wing is completely off the car, even though it's off track. Another safety car has been brought out on track. And, well, what does this do to the order?
Now, this is going to be incredibly interesting to see what these guys at the front on the hards do. Because do they risk losing track position by pitting for a set of mediums to the end?
They could, to be honest. I think they could. I think, honestly, most of these guys, I would feel, would be coming into the pit lane, possibly to put on a set of medium compound of tyres. But saying that, it looks like everyone's not. It's TRT James, I think, the only one on a set of worn-out mediums, interestingly into the pit lane. I think he's the only one, actually, apart from Matt Tibos, who comes into the pit. And I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Tibos tries to get something out this race and tries to make the set a soft goal for 11 laps or 12 laps out on track, but it looks like he's putting on a set of mediums. Mashiro, Powdy, Sway and Nathan all into the pit lane, and Mashiro, so unfortunate, he's now been held up even further in the pit lane after it's going to be 8 seconds this pit stop, and he's been held up a good 5 or 10 seconds there as well. Mashiro now is down to the back of the field, and he won last time out, of course, in Bahrain, and so unfortunate how fast things can change in a week, because he's now right down at the back of the field.
Yeah, and I think Trippy Jeff is probably kicking himself right now, the fact that he retired on track and left the session after his incident, but this goes to show you should never really give up, even if you have an off moment.
You shouldn't really give up anyways, because there's points on offer for all 18 positions out on track. Obviously, with Alonso and Trippy Jeff now out the race, they cannot pick up those scrap points out on track. I always say on these streams, stay in the race. You could pick up a good result. You never know what can happen in Formula 1. Murray Walker once said that, and you never know what could happen in Formula 1. And especially so here in China, at a track like this, where it's so demanding for the drivers and it takes a real mental and physical strain as well. AJ out on top currently, and he's got to think about a second safety car start for him. Hopefully, this time around, he'll go quicker than what he did, because Nathan obviously picked up that drive-through penalty and AJ picked up that 5 seconds. So we'd be imagining, I think, Zwidema doesn't want to hassle him too much, and I think AJ will be wanting to try and get the best run possible off the safety car. We will have another lap of the safety car out on track as we come through the final corner once again. AJ out on top, Zwidema second, and Volokongan in third. And the back markers who came obviously into the pit lane, Sway, Nathan and Mashiro, are going to join in. And Nathan, Sway, by the way, back into the pit lane. This is even more interesting from Sway. Softs, I'm thinking.
Would they even get to the end though?
We'll find out, because he is going. Oh, he's going onto a set of mediums. I thought there was a Red Bull tyre there. Yes, nah, set of mediums. 10 laps. They will get to the end, but he's out of position again.
Did he serve a penalty or something?
I'll have a look through on the race director quickly. Yeah, I'll have a look through on the race director and see. No, he didn't have a penalty. He's only got 1 penalty, 3 seconds worth. So, it's just a bit of a strange strategy from him, I guess.
He stops at Sway going for the 4-stop strategy.
And in fact, I'm not sure if this is a bit of a glitch. I've just realised, actually, with Sway's tyres, has he put on a worn set of those medium compound of tyres? Did they have any fresh mediums left? Because he's now, well, on our graphic, he's showing as him being on a worn set of tyres. Which now begs the question, has he got any more mediums left if he was to come into the pit lane again? And I think with Sway, the safety car now is in this lap as Sway joins onto the back. And AJ once again has got to do it all over again. And look at this for packing up. that for backing up the pack out on track, really giving quite a few drivers a bit of a rear view, I've got to say. Dan Morris and Adam Acker going side by side through and changing positions on my screen. What's AJ got to do under this restart, though?
I'll just give you the information on Sway. His strategy so far has been mediums hard, back onto the mediums.
So I think if he's got 2 set of mediums, he's back on a 1 set. If I'm thinking right, if I'm not mistaken. So he's pitted in 4 times now out on track, I think. Just so unfortunate. But now AJ has got to really try and drive the socks off the safety car. So, I mean, the safety car is into the pit lane and AJ is already gone. And this is now a much better restart, I've got to say, from AJ. He has let them go with 2 more corners to go out on track. And again, AJ now towards the final corner with 10 more laps to go here. He has got a real good a real good start here. 0.8 of a second already over Zwadema. Zwadema is in second. Volkongan in third. Seb in fourth. Gary in fifth. Callboy in sixth. Adam Acko right on the back as well. We saw a position change further down the field. I think it was Powdy possibly getting overtaken. Adam Acko down the inside line on Callboy. This is a brilliant move. He can pull it off down the inside line. He's now on the outside line. He's going to be hung out to dry. Callboy to the left-hand side of him has got back through, and Callboy maintains that P6 position. But Adam Acko, oh, he'd be ruining his luck. Why on earth did he not get that position? He could have it down the inside here in towards turn number 6, but he's not quite close enough, and James is on the back of J. Cole as well.
Yes, and this is where the mediums now are going to start coming to play. These guys are pitted under the first set of the mediums. Because J. Cole will not only have James to deal with, but you'll also have a string of cars behind being Matt Tibos, Nathan and Mashiro Powdy, and potentially Sway.
Yeah, Sway on those 1 set of tyres is doing a good job. He's keeping up to the back of the guys ahead of him, which is quite good. AJ does lead, Zwadema second, Volokongan in third. You would imagine that Zwadema on paper would have the pace on AJ because of those 5-lap pressure tyres, but I'm not sure. Mashiro, by the way, is going side by side with Powdy running down the straight, and James has got a good run here on J. Cole as well. Just seen that in the shot as well, as Matt Tibos now comes down the inside line of Tionis, trying to get the move done, trying to recover some scraps of his race from earlier on. Tionis on the inside line. Matt Tibos is not going to go around the outside of the final corner, is he? Just like Trippy Jeff did? No, he backs off. And Tionis now is going to be under a lot of pressure, and this could be job done there for Matt Tibos. Running down the straight, he's got to keep and maintain that overtake mode, but he's going to have to do it the hard way. Around the outside through turn 1, he's got the car ahead, he's got the car 3 quarters ahead. Can he get the move done around the outside? He's going to be on the inside line for turn 3, and that is skillful driving from Matt Tibos on a set of mediums. Tionis fought as he would, but Matt Tibos is through with an excellent piece of driving, the best piece of driving you'll see all night, and he's through and he's up into 11th.
Yeah, and I was on board with Nathan for that, and I thought for a second that Jonas would just jump out of the way of Nathan and just let him go after Matt Tibos and try to hold up Mashiro when Mashiro catches up to the back of him, but right now Nathan's staying behind Jonas.
I wonder if Mashiro and Powdy actually had a little bit of an incident last lap around, because Mashiro in 14th, Powdy 15th. Mashiro's dropped off 1.2 seconds on the back of Nathan, and Nathan right on the back of Tiona. So essentially Mashiro at this point, if DRS was to be enabled, would be out of that DRS detection zone, and Nathan switches to the inside line coming through turn 12 and 13, but Tionis now has to give him the room, and the 2 Williams are now battling out on track. This is like old school Formula 1. They changed their line running down the straight. Tionis on the inside line. Nathan will have to be forced around the outside. Matt Tibos closing in on J. Cole as well, just ahead. Nathan is through though. Tionis lets him through, and Nathan through, and he's up into P12, and I think, to be honest, he had to sacrifice himself there, because those holds will go to the end, don't get me wrong, but he's now got to catch Matt Tibos, and Matt Tibos is going to be held up by J. Cole as well, so that's the best strategy to do. Yeah,
absolutely. Jonas just needs to think about the team game right there. We got James on the back of Dan Morris. He got very close into the final corner, almost straight into the back of the Ferrari there, and looking like James has got a lot of pace right now that he wants to unleash.
Oh, Matt Tibos down the inside of J. Cole, just in behind as well. Can he get the move done? J. Cole hung out to dry. Now they're going to be side by side, coming through turn 7 and 8. And I don't think Matt Tibos is going to go for it round here, and he's not. And J. Cole through. And he's up into P10. Matt Tibos is going to have another go, you know, down the inside through turn 8. But no, J. Cole hangs on for P10 for now. But Matt Tibos got an explosive run coming through turn 6, nearly got the job done through turn 7. He was running side by side nearly, but Matt Tibos has got to hang on and wait for that DRS zone to come back. Volokongan, by the way, I think has dropped out of the DRS zone as Wadema out on track. It's now a second gap between those, and Wadema will try and close in on AJ, of course, out on track. But this is the overtaking fest about to begin with 8 more laps, well, 7 more laps to go after this one. And here comes TRT James on the back of Dan Morris, and Dan to the outside line. TRT James down the inside line. He looks like he's got the run here, the Irishman. Can he get the move done? We've got Mashiro on Tionis. He's through. So Mashiro through and he's up into 13th. They're still side by side, James and Dan Morris, and James is through. Excellently and expertly done. He's through and he's up into P8, and Matt Tibos all over the back of J. Cole as well. He's still not going away, is he, Matt Tibos?
No, and Nathan setting a new fastest lap, and he's going to be right on the back. If actually, he already is right on the back. He's right on the back of this train starting to form.
Yeah, look at this, all the way, by the way, it just goes from Volokongan, this train, all the way down pretty much. We've got a little bit of a split in the carriage, essentially. Cowboy and Adamako is where the split is, as now Nathan dives it down the inside of Matt Tibos. Oh, that's a little bit of... Oh, and Cowboy is spun. Cowboy is spun, coming out of turn 7, not really sure what happened. There was so much going on. Nathan got the move done on Matt Tibos, by the way, but Cowboy is round. I think he just got too Larry on the power, perhaps.
Oh, so she's on board with 7 almost done the exact same thing as Alonso did earlier.
And right on the back is Seb, looking to try and join us in the interview room, of course, for a second time in 2 weeks. Volokongan, though, be hoping to try and latch onto the podium here. Seb, Gary is in contention as well. He's on fresher tyres, and he could be closing in, but be the one to watch later on in this race, with only 6 more laps to go after this one. Here comes Nathan on the back of J. Cole. Oh, that is late on. He dives it down the inside of Dan Morris, and Nathan again with a move that is not really on, and he lets them back through. I think it's going to be 3 wide. Nathan has got to let them through. Surely Matt Tibos run out wide. Dan Morris now on the inside line. It's just the tempers are just beginning to fray. Nathan lets Dan Morris back through, and Dan Morris is trying to defend off the back of Nathan, and Mashiro's been brought into this as well. There's so much going on, so much action as now Dan Morris tries to get the move done on Matt Tibos. Is on board now with Nathan's point of view as he tries to latch it down the inside, and Nathan once again, brilliant run, gets the move done on the fresher tyres, but now Dan Morris is going to try come back through. Mashiro is still on the back of this as well, trying to dive and juice his way through. Dan Morris down the inside line on Nathan. Oh, very close to contact, but Nathan just about hangs on. Look at Mashiro. He's not going to think about a move down the inside. He's not. My goodness me. Tempers are beginning to fray out on track, and it's all really because of Nathan. And Nathan actually, I think, has got front wing damage and is not. He's really struggling to control this car now.
Oh, it's Dan Morris there again. Very, very squirrely on the exit. That's just open things up for Mashiro to go straight on by. And G. Jonas now right behind Dan Morris.
And look at Seb. Seb is right on the back of Volokongan as well. 0.5 of a second separating these guys for a potential podium spot and a potential interview as well. Seb right on the back there of Volokongan will try and get the penalties here. Seb is going to go from an absolute mile back to get the move done. No way that is getting done. If that move had been done, I would have paid him a $5 on the spot, but he hasn't. And Seb is just right on the back. James on the inside on Adamako. There's so much going on out on track. James now side by side with Adamako. Gary is side by side with Seb, and Seb has now been mastered by Gary, and Gary's trying to get them both around the outside coming through turn 1 and 2. This is impossible from Gary. He's got the inside line. Volokongan shuts the door, and Gary has to give way. Adamako's at the race coming through. I'm not sure if he's retired out on track or if that was a retirement from him. It looks to me as if it's a retirement out on track from Adamako. He retires, maybe because of the driving out on track. Brings Cowboy now into 15th. I'm honestly not sure why he retired.
I am confused. I'm not sure what was going on there. I think he was still side by side with James at that point as well. So he just picked up a bit of wing damage and decided that he's had enough.
Unless something happened with his controller or with his wheel, perhaps. Not sure what is going on, but hopefully Adamako can come in the comment section and say that to us. By the way, Seb had lost that position. Gary is now on for a podium. Believe it or not, if you're a fan of Gary... Oh, and Matt Tebos and Nathan have had a collision. Further down the field, they've got into each other. And what really would you expect? Nathan's driving out on track. Matt Tebos is defensive as well. But Nathan now, Matt Tebos, Gary's on the inside. I'm trying to focus on too much. Volakonga now on the inside line. Gary to the outside line. Oh, goodness me. Gary is hanging on. Well, Volakonga is hanging on for grim life. Look at James's run now on Seb. Don't think he's going to get the move done. Here comes Gary, though. Waltzing all the way around the outside through turn one. And that is job done from Gary. That is how you pull off a move. That is how you overtake around here in China. And look at look at TRT James in the background. James is still, my namesake, really wants to make a go of this. He's trying to show me up, I think. He wants me to be in that cup. He wants to be in my spot next week, honestly. TRT James in 6th position is still fighting with Seb. A real cream cracker of a race. And we've still got 3.5 laps to go.
Yep, and just another thing to point out as well. We said earlier that AJ had a 5-second time penalty. The gap between AJ and Volakonga right now, 5.5 seconds.
Gap between AJ and Gary is 4.8. He's not actually too far off getting that 5 seconds, certainly for a podium out on track. Not sure if he'll get it out on track for the win. TRT James all over the back of Seb. Looking at the comment section, nothing from Adamako in regards to him. Just seeing the Division 2 chat as well. Here comes, though, TRT James right now on the back of Seb. But I don't think they're going to be close enough. Sway, by the way, I'm not sure if that was a move done. Was that Powdy on Sway, I think, who got that move done? Or Dan Morris and Powdy? I think they might have even switch around there. So, job done anyways. Adamako, by the way, if you do start on no traction control, go to medium and TRT James is round. TRT James is round through the final corner. And another one that has been caught out by the trials and tribulations. Out on track. Look at the gap for the lead. Sweetema's 4/10 off him.
Sweetema wants this on track. It's all kicked off in the final 10 laps here at Shanghai.
Goodness me.
This is a Commodore's dream and nightmare. Don't know where to look.
You don't know where to look. It's calmed down slightly. It has calmed down. I think for Tom's benefit, we'll try and get in some of the penalties if we don't mind. We'll run on both of us with Demo and AJ, but we'll run through the penalties now.
Alright. Bringing these up, right, so there's a penalty for Sway, James unfortunately DNF, Nathan served that. AJ with a 5-second time penalty, Matt Tibos got a 3-second, Nathan got a 3 seconds, Dan Morris with a 3-second, Sway with 6 seconds, and James picked up the final penalty just before DNFing. So very few 3-second time penalties out there. Of course we got Dan Morris, Sway and Nathan with 3-second time penalties, and AJ with a 5-second time penalty. That is all we got at the moment.
Yeah, not many penalties then to report. Obviously AJ with that 5-second penalty, it's now on the borderline really for AJ if he's going to get a podium. It's just dipping back under that 5 seconds, but at one point down the straight it was 5 seconds. So AJ got to really drive the socks off that Mercedes now with Dema on 5-lap pressure tyres really coming into play in the blue skies and sunshine here in China. A race of course not held within real life. AJ though out on top, so Dema in second, Gary in third. Gary has got to fight off the attentions of Volakongan, Seb, J. Cole, and honestly, where has Mashiro came in all of this? He's absolutely flown through the field.
Yeah, Mashiro, fantastic. He's been able to avoid all the carnage and just pick his way up into 7th, and the race isn't over for him yet. He could possibly get 1 or 2 more positions.
He could do indeed. Goodness me, I don't want to make a prediction on this final lap of the race. Look at AJ, he's trying to weave down the straight. He's trying to break the toe onto Widema. He may as well not break the toe because Widema's not going to have a go at you. AJ still leads and he comes on towards the final lap of the race to lead out in front. Mashiro right on the back of J. Cole. Oh, he goes into the back of him. And in true Jonathan Lagarde style, there's problems there for Mashiro out on track. I had to get that in. Powdy is through as well on Dan Morris. Sway trying to get involved as well. Nearly 3 wide coming through the hairpin there. And now Dan Morris to the inside line. Can he get the move done? Oh, forces Powdy out wide. Powdy now runs out wide. And now Dan Morris and Sway onto the final lap of the race. Dan Morris and Powdy. Dan Morris is through and he's up into 9th. Sway is trying to go for the desperate move going around the outside line. Can he get the move done? No, he can't. Powdy hangs on for P10. Goodness me, all the fights finding out on track. And I think that was... Who were you on board with there? Was that on board with Powdy,
I was on board with Sway. Powdy locking up there. And Sway almost went straight into the back of him.
I honestly don't know where to turn. We're right on board with the battle for the lead, though. As AJ and Zwedema. Half a lap to go. Zwedema has now got to lay it all on the line. 36% of ERS compared to AJ's 32. They're really nullified at this point. AJ has got to serve it up down the straight. He's got to use that overtake one up down the straight. So is Zwedema. Zwedema will have about 20 mile an hour extra, normally, on 20 brake horsepower, I should say, more actually in this car than what he was down the straight with the DRS, but I don't think he's going to be close enough. I think AJ is going to win on merit out on track, but Zwedema I think is going to take the win. Zwedema is wanting this though, down the inside, oh, very close to the back end of him, but now coming through the final couple of corners out on track, AJ is going to take this one. He's driven a real astute race out on track. It's penalties that is going to prove costly. AJ across the line wins, but now Zwedema wins out on track. Gary across the line to finish in 3rd. He is up into 2nd. Bolakongan across the line, and it's Zwedema, Gary and AJ on the podium. A really good battle towards the end of the race here with Dan Morris, Sway and Powdy now filtering across the line. Powdy jumps up ahead of everyone. Nathan, Callboy and Matt Tebos, what could have been for them guys if they didn't make any mistakes or didn't get caught in any sort of contact. Nathan there in 12th, Callboy 13th, and Matt Tebos will come across the line in 14th position. But Mike, I think it's time to get our interviewees in and get the invites, well, get the adding to the group ready.
Yep, I'm just gonna pull the names out right. AJ and Gab.
Oh, Matt Tebos across the line in true style there to finish in 14th position. But that is the end here in China. We've got the interviews still to come. Driver of the day as voted by the in-game fans. It's Gary who gets driver of the day. As we now go then to the podium celebrations and doing the funky chicken out on track. Zwedema takes the win and his first TTML win of the season. And how on earth Alfa Romeo would love that. Gary finishing in 2nd and AJ on merit across the line to win. But because of that 5-second penalty, he finishes in 3rd. But we'll catch up with all 3 drivers, I'm sure, as we come to the end of the race here in China. And that is Widema out on top. 13th on the grid, up to 1st. Great drive. It's an XL1-2 with Gary in 2nd, AJ in 3rd. It's Gary's first podium, I think, in TTML Division 2 as well. Bolakongan in 4th with Scuderia Seb in 5th. J. Cole in 6th with Mashiro in 7th. Jonas in 8th. Mashiro drove a really good race, by the way, to recover the 7th. Jonas in 8th. Powdy in 9th. Dan Morris in 10th. Swain 11th. Nathan in 12th. Callboy 13th, Matt Tibos, because he crossed the line, gets that fastest lap point and gets those points as well for 14th. TRT James, Adam Acko, Trippy Jeff and Alonso sadly not taking any further part really in that race. What a cream cracker out on track, and we do it all again of course next time out, as I do believe we go to Spain next time around in TTML Division 2. But that is the end. Invites have been sent. We are just waiting on the guys now to join out on track. I'm sure there's going to be a few drinks flowing in the Excel camp when they join us in. and we will get, of course, the interviewees in, and hopefully they'll know how to work this new party system, of course, that PS4, that PSN, I should say, and Sony have developed, of course, in-game for the PS5. But Mike, we'll come on to you. Fantastic race there out on track. Who on earth was your driver of the day?
Honestly, I think I have to give my driver of the day to Redeemer. I know it's a boring pick, but he just drove a perfect race from where he started all the way down in 13th.
Yeah, drove a really good race. Drove from 13th on the grid. Gary, respectively, 14th on the grid up to 2nd. So both of them gaining 12 positions, respectively, out on track. I'm not sure why. They might have felt it unfortunate. They might have felt it fortunate, I think, to give it to Gary rather than Zwadema out on track, because Gary is literally the most bottleless driver you will ever meet on the grid. But he's got a podium here tonight, and hopefully we'll get both of them in, and hopefully we'll get AJ in as well for an interview. If not, we'll try and conduct them, of course, on Discord. But a fantastic job out on track. The top 3 in the championship, by the way, just being told this by AJ, 3 points. Subject to stupid decisions, 3 points separating the guys out on track. Mashiro Zwadema tied for the lead on 45 points. AJ in 3rd on 42 points. That is subject to stupid decisions and also subject to Tom's maths ability as well. And he did put in brackets in that message, and me not being able to count properly. So there you go. I'm sure we'll be laughing at that now that I've mentioned that. We're still waiting, hopefully, for the drivers to join us. We'll wait a couple of more minutes. Hopefully we'll get them in. But next time out, of course, in the calendar, we do go to the brilliant track of Spain at the Circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya, from one extreme track to the other, because I always think China, the drivers hate it but the commentators love it. Spain, I think, is another one that the drivers hate but the commentators love it as well.
Yeah, and the thing is, for me, I'd say Spain is probably a bit worse on the tyres than China as well.
Yeah, it is. About 5% a lap, I think, no matter what tyre you're on. And a 2-stop strategy, I think, around Spain is going to be the one that works, I think, the best out on track. And hopefully, I think everyone in the Excel party are probably talking to each other, because I can see Gary, J. Collins, Badem are still here within the lobby. Hopefully, we will get them in, as I say, for an interview. And it's just a question of if they want to join, to be honest. We can't force these guys to join in. I've just gone blue screen for a second just to see if they are joining. They have been added to the group, I can confirm. And yeah, really good stuff out on track. And Spain, hopefully, will be one of those tracks where everyone can quite literally excel out on track. And speaking of excel, we've got the man that is eventually... Oh, we actually have the race winner that has just joined us here in the track. So we'll take Zwadema first. And Zwadema, you wouldn't have imagined that in your wildest dreams to win the race.
Not really, especially after practice. The pace wasn't really there. But I think AJ might take the win after he gets his pen removed, but I'll still take second. It was a pretty good race for me, especially on this track, so I'm quite happy with it.
Yeah, really good race from your perspective, and just talk us through what happened there out on track, because you were 13th in qualifying. You said you didn't have the pace. How on earth did you make it work to get the win?
Well, I had a really good start, and I think I got quite a few guys right off the bat, and then all the soft runners were really slow, and then I kind of got lucky with the safety car, I guess.
Yeah, safety car really coming into play, I think. And obviously, we spoke about that in commentary, me and Mike. The safety car really changed up the nature of the race. You and Gary obviously finishing top 2 on the podium. Mike, do you have any questions for Zwadema?
It was just a fantastic race from start to finish. We were in the commentary thinking that rain was going to come at one point, and just like in real life F1, we were disappointed when they didn't. But it was still a fantastic race, and it just looked like you just drove a perfect race.
Yeah, also my Jeff at the end of the race said there was going to be rain, but was going to be too late anyway. But yeah, I'm really happy with that performance. Like, that's probably one of my better races on this game.
Yeah, fantastic performance, and obviously Spain next week. We just said it before you guys joined. It's one of those tracks that the drivers hate, but the commentators love. How do you think you're going to get on around Spain?
I should be pretty good there, but I don't have good experiences on that track. Like, I usually have bad races, but my pace is usually pretty decent there.
We shall
so mixed
see.
feelings.
Yeah, we shall see if that pace is going to be right on the money. So, Demo, I will let you go and enjoy your evening. I'm sure there's going to be an alcoholic drink or two coming your way.
Probably.
There will be. There will be. I don't doubt it for 1 second. As we move on then to our man who finished in 2nd position, and I think this is the first ever interview I've got to do with Gary. Gary,
Yeah,
first of all, it is. It's unbelievable. How on earth did you finish 2nd?
Like Dan said, a lot of luck was involved. I knew from quality, obviously, I was always going to go on mediums. I felt like the mediums were better than the softs, and yeah, just got lucky with a safety car, and pace on the hards was good. So quite happy because this is one of my best tracks. So very happy with the end results.
Phenomenal, and I think I beg to differ and say this, but this I think is your first podium in TTML as well.
Second, actually. I got one in Canada last season.
Canada last season,
Yeah,
right.
but I think the lobby was quite glitched, so I'm not too sure, but yeah. I got second there last.
Yeah, that was the race I kept disconnecting from, I think.
Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
Ah, well, I stand corrected then on that stat. Mike, any questions for Gary?
It just seemed like you was in the thick of it towards the end of that race with a few risky dive bombs here and there. Was you fearful at that time watching a couple of those moves?
I think the Alonso one definitely was a bit risky. I remember when he was on the soft, but I knew like I couldn't get stuck behind the soft runners because obviously to get best use of the mediums you want to be ahead of the soft runners. So some moves were a bit risky, but without them I don't think I would have got the podium, so no regrets.
Yeah, and looking ahead to Spain as well next week. Again, same question. How do you think you're going to get on around there?
Spain's a track I'm much more comfortable with compared to China, so if I can do well around China, I think I can do a lot better at Spain, so hopefully end result is the same.
Let's hope so, and hopefully Gary can be on the podium and he can conduct, well, I can conduct another interview with him, which has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, guys, of course, for your participation in the interviews. AJ sadly not available, but I felt like a little bit of deja vu, perhaps. It's like a League of Europe reunion party in the commentary box here now. Well, are we taking over? You'll have to find out. But that is the end for tonight here in China. Big thanks to Zwadema, big thanks to Gary as well for their interviews. AJ, of course, finishing in 3rd. Might get his steward's decision removed, his penalty removed, so he might win overall. So it'll be very interesting to see the impact of what the stewards will see and deliver out on track next week. And of course, we do go to Spain next week. Thank you so much for tuning in, though, to Division 2. And tomorrow night, you can delve yourself into more Division action here in TTML. Division 4 is live with Graham Chappell and Cowboy, who's not available. It might be Mike alongside Graham Chappell in the commentary box tomorrow night. So you'll have to tune in for that at 8 o'clock. And also, if you want to see the GOAT commentary team, again, the League of Europe reunion party continues tomorrow in Division 5. And it's myself and Daniel Hoggard who are going to be taking you through the action. But I will bid you farewell for myself and Mike. Please stay safe out there. Thank you so much for tuning in to TTML Division 2, and we'll see you guys next week in Spain. Goodbye.
the sadness that cripples you. It comes in waves and out of the blue. But there are days you feel freedom too. Bask in the glorious lightning. Move like the sunlight, darkness can't hold you here. Bold and bright, push through the atmosphere. This is your dawn, this is your break. Move like the sunlight, darkness can't hold you here. Bold and bright, push through the atmosphere. This is your dawn, this is your break. Move like the move like the radiate, radiate, radiate. Gravitate, gravitate, gravitate.